Thanks, Sandra. Okay, it's good morning, everyone. I'm Tony Smith, president of GAE Retired, and this I'm going to interrupt our time together to remind you that it is time for you to vote for GAE retired delegates to the GAERA and NEA retired delegates to the NEARA. We have 3 delegate seats for the NEARA, and we have 41 delegate seats for the GAERA. That ballot has been emailed to you, and you might have to look in your spam folder or promotion folders to get that. It is a link unique for you. So it wouldn't be possible for us to share our link with you because that is your unique ballot. You've been vetted as someone who can vote in the election, and so you get a unique ballot. Please check your email, your spam folder, your promotions folder if you're a Gmail person, and look for that email. It comes from, what does it come from? What does it come from? I think I deleted mine, so I can't tell you where it comes from. Let's see. But somewhere in the subject line of the
Tony, it comes from vote@simplyvoting.com.
Thank you.
And it was sent on February 28th, about 11 p.m. And the reply to is at nicholas.gardner@gae.org. So if you're having trouble getting in, and be sure, as I think Tony mentioned, to check your spam folder, nicholas.gardner@gae.org would be the person to whom you would need to send your troubles to.
I am texting with the presenter, and she seems stalled in the waiting room.
I would tell her to go back out and come back in.
I am.
Okay, great minds.
Karen, what was the date that voting email was sent out? You said February
28th, 11 p.m. And voting for all the GAE retired candidates started March 1st, and it'll go through the end of the day on March 15th. So you still have some time to vote, but it's one of those things of, if you can get it done now, go ahead and get it done. And while Tony's talking and texting with the presenter, and Tony, you can interrupt me at any point in time. Remember, please, that this Friday, we are having a GAE retired business meeting open to all GAE retired members for voting then. And that's going to start at 11 a.m. It's going to be virtual. It'll go till around 2. And if I can get manipulative here on my iPhone, I'll put the link in the chat in just a minute for that Mobilize link so that you can sign up to get the Zoom for this Friday's business meeting.
Okay, I'm still in contact with Robbie, and so I see several people have been kicked out and come back in, so I don't know what's happening.
Well, my outage said till 1 o'clock today, so I don't know how big of an area it's a spectrum outage for me.
All right, she's trying to come back in. I just admitted her. And she's gone.
Well, I will say that for our next lunch bunch on April 3rd, we're
Oh,
going to have a speaker about health online, finding the information you can trust. And so this is a health education coach from the Athens area, Emily Pursley, and she's going to present information about, how we're in the doctor's office and they say you have this, you have that, and then we all want to go to Dr. Google thereafter and see what more we can find out. And this person in our next lunch bunch on April 3rd will help us by giving us some valid sites, some reputable sites to check to if we want to follow up.
okay,
And
Karen, our guest is on now. So
okay, good deal. Thank you.
I'm going to make you a co-host, Robbie. Sandra, are you still there?
She texted me that she was going back to her voting responsibilities.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, let me introduce our speaker and turn things over to Robbie. Our guest today is Robbie Montfort. Robbie currently serves as the Dementia Care Specialist for the River Valley Area Agency covering 16 counties. The position is to assist in helping to make Georgia dementia capable, a Georgia dementia capable state. Let me say that again, to assist in helping to make Georgia a dementia capable state. She has 24 years of experience supporting people who are actively aging, and she is passionate about improving their lives. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Robbie, and you are a co-host if you wish to share your screen. Can you hear me, Robbie?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Good morning, ladies. I am so sorry for the inconveniences. We've literally gone to another computer to get on. So again, thank you for your patience. I am not going to be able, we're still working. I've got somebody working next to me, getting me going. So I'm going to not be my usual talkative self, and I'm going to go straight through the program so that I can ensure that everyone gets this program in full, and we're almost there. So as Tony said, I am a dementia care specialist, and we are 12 of me in the state of Georgia. We were all hired last year to make Georgia dementia capable. And so there's some facets to that, but the main thing is that we learn how to talk about dementia and Alzheimer's. Can you put me a background on there? That's a lot. That we try to diffuse the stigma. There is stigma, obviously, with multiple things in our world. And the main thing is that, I personally have my thought processes with this and working with this for as long as I have is that, we are all aging. We're aging from the day we're born. So I have this struggle with why we are so preoccupied with aging. I mean, it's going to happen, and we just need to embrace it and do the best we can, have the best quality of life we can. So that for me is what the Dementia Capable is really all about, to sum it up very nice and neatly for you. So I am now going to share my screen with you. Does everybody have the booklet?
I put the link for the booklet in the chat earlier. I will put it in again. I will put it in again. And there it goes. There's the link to the booklet.
Okay, so this is something for you to have for yourself, and this is what I will be going through today. So let's just start with, it's a very straightforward way of sharing about dementia. We all assume we know what dementia is, but I think I want to say that that's really an assumption unless you've experienced it yourself. And I'm sorry, hang on, we are still having some technical difficulties, but if you have your book open, let's start with Dementia Friends, the session workbook. Dementia is not a specific disease. It's an overall term that describes a wide range of symptoms associated with a decline in memory or other thinking skills, severe enough to reduce a person's ability to perform everyday activities. Alzheimer's disease is the most common type of dementia and accounts for 60 to 80% of the cases. Other types of dementia include dementia with Lewy bodies, frontal temporal lobe, vascular, and believe it or not, we are now the number of types of dementias are increasing like unbelievable. One of the newest ones is the one with head brain injuries, football players, car accidents, any of those kind of things. That is the newest type that they now have put under dementia diagnosis. So let me go back over that little paragraph I just read to you and share with you that dementia is the disease, and under that umbrella, there are diagnoses. It's just like cancer. Cancer is the disease, but what types of cancer does someone have? It could be, lung cancer, ovarian cancer, throat cancer. So that's the different types under the dementia is the Alzheimer's, Lewy body, frontal temporal lobe, and vascular. The reason you're seeing those here is those are the most common behind Alzheimer's. So quite often people will go, they think Alzheimer's is it. That's the only kind there is. But there are many other types. Let's see, Robin Williams had Lewy body. What is his sweet name? He's another actor right now, and he's got frontal temporal lobe.
Bruce Willis.
Yes, thank you very much. Whoever's helping me out there. I can take all the help I can get today. So today, I want to tell you this Dementia Friends program that you are doing you will be a certified dementia friend when you finish this. And I want you to understand this is an international program. This program started out of Europe. So if we're ever able to get this where you need to be, we will have you view a couple of videos, and you'll notice that there are accents with the sweet people who are doing these videos because they are international. It is an international program. Can we open it here?
Yeah.
So let's go to the second page where we talk about normal.
And I think we lost her. Maybe she's coming back in. I have put the link to the workbook in the drive a few times. So I think all of you should be able to access it now. So in this interim, if you will go ahead and click that link and open the booklet on your device, then we can follow along with Robbie, and I'm going to text her. Okay. I think she's changing devices. I'm not sure. While we're waiting, do any of you have any questions about our in progress elections for delegates and also the board seat, the retired at-large director seat on the GAE board of directors? I'm coming to the end of my term, my first terms, and we cannot succeed ourselves. So there are 2 people running for that seat, and you'll get to vote for that seat also on your ballot.
Tony, this is Linda. I remembered opening it and I said I'll get back to it. And then when I went to get back to it, I couldn't find it. So I went on and I emailed Nicholas to help me out. But I do remember seeing it.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that might have been an issue too, once you know, because I saw, you know, the passcode and everything, but I just couldn't find it on the 28th. And I'm glad you told me the 28th because I couldn't remember when I saw it. So yeah, I had to do that.
Right. So if you can't find it, or if you started and didn't finish, then contact Nicholas and nicholas.gardner@gae.org, and Nicholas will be able to get everything straight for you. Okay. All right, Karen, you're sharing your screen, but we don't hear you.
Well, I hate when that happens. I'll just tell you a couple more things about communication. You should be getting the in the loop email. And again, if you're not, please let Tony or myself know about that. And this is a publication that, again, hopefully you're getting every month about GAE Voices. It usually comes out on the first work day of the month. And when you scroll down, we are in it, but we are at the base of it. There is information about GAE retired. And it says on this graphic, we use this every month, news from the retired. Click on the graphic to learn more. And this is where you get everything here is linked. And so I'd mentioned the GAE business meeting, and then I mentioned our next lunch bunch already. And again, on each of the graphics, should be a hot link to register. There's a QR code.
Okay,
So,
Karen, let me interrupt you for a moment. Robbie says she's back on. So
I'm
let me
gonna
find
stop.
her,
You all stay tuned and we'll do this.
find
more
her
for you.
and make her a co-host again. And here we go.
Okay.
All right, Robbie,
Share.
you are a co-host again, so you will be able to share your screen.
Okay.
And you might be muted because we can't hear you. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, honey?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, guys, this is probably one of the most frustrating meetings you've ever had. I apologize again for that. It does still continue to say host disabled, participant screen sharing. Can you tell me where I left off? And does anybody have any sense of where I stopped?
Well, you were talking about the various kinds of dementia. You'd had mentioned what Bruce Willis, the kind that he had had.
Okay, so I left you a long time ago. I talked for a while. didn't realize I'd left you.
Oh,
But
okay.
Beverly, you could pass me some of that popcorn, honey. That looks delicious.
Yeah,
Um,
just page 2.
so yes, we're on page 2. So let's start again at the top, the early signs and symptoms versus normal aging. Before I get off on the early signs and symptoms, I want to share with you how vital it is now to have early screening and diagnosis for dementia. I don't know how many of you are aware that as of last August, there was a new medication that was approved by the FDA, Leqembi, that if you are diagnosed in the early stages, you can start this medication if it's appropriate for you, and it can oh, look at there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You can start that early medication, and it will stop or slow down the symptoms for 5 to 8 years. That is so significant. So early diagnosing now and getting rid of that stigma is so huge, because people can continue to live a quality of life for many years with what's coming, the new things that are coming. So let's go back to memory loss that disrupts daily life. You know, that really is exactly what it says. We are all understand that, you know, if we're forgetting things that is causing problems either at work or at home, doctor's offices or whatever, then that is clearly disrupting your life. Forgetting names and appointments and remembering them later. Again, on the normal aging, you'll hear me say multiple times, I don't know any of us that don't have those issues or haven't had them on and off for years. Challenges in planning or solving problems, making occasional errors when balancing a checkbook. Well, it's one thing to make an error in your checkbook by adding or subtracting wrong, but it's another thing by just leaving things out and not doing it and skewing your whole checkbook thing. Difficulties in completing familiar tasks at home or at work or at leisure. You know, that is actually things you've always done, but all of a sudden you can't do it any longer. Something is not clicking and you're not able to follow through with that task. Needing occasional help to set a microwave or record a show. Again, I think we all kind of, if we haven't done it before, need a moment to work through that. Confusion with time or place. Confused about the time or day of the week by recalling it later. You know, if any of us are on vacation, we lose what day it is. That's normal. But somebody who really has gotten discombobulated with, you know, is this June or July, you know, or I was going to the hairdresser I've been to forever and I can't find it. Those are some big differences. Trouble understanding visual images and spatial relationship. Visual changes related to cataracts. So if you're having eye problems, please go see if that's what it is. See if your doctor's got a rational excuse, or not excuse, but reason for it to be happening. We all can get cataracts and it can skew our vision, but with our memory issues and dementia or Alzheimer's, our brain is not clicking like it used to. And so you might begin to have some visual and spatial relationship problems because that part of your brain isn't working as well. Those are two very different things. New problems with the words in speaking or writing, sometimes having problems finding the right word. Again, you know, you'll hear me say, oh my gosh, I've forgotten my vocabulary. Give me a minute, give me a minute. That's very different than saying, you know, I put the hot pad on the stove and it was really meant to be the pot on the stove. So there again, misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. I don't know any of us that don't, I mean, I know I'm one that will sit there and go, I went here, I went there, I went this, I did that, and there it is, I found it. So, you know, if you're not able to do that and able to figure it out, then you really and truly are starting to have some problems. Decreased in poor judgment versus making bad decisions once in a while. You know, there's none of us, we are not perfect. We are human. We do make bad decisions and choices, and our judgment can be off. But when you are dealing with dementia or judgment, I'll share with you, I have concerns about my husband right now, and he's doing things that I really not sure why he chose to do that. It's so clearly different in terms of judgment than what he's always done. You know, you could choose to go somewhere in a bad part of, well, that's not even a good, I'm trying to think of a good example right now. But in lieu of time, I'll try to keep moving. But I think y'all understand what decrease in poor judgment is. Going up on a ladder without anybody around you. People, I had someone fell off the ladder at church last week, and I'm not going to tell you the end result because we're having a funeral tomorrow. Now, that's how, you know, you don't do things like that without someone around being with you. Withdrawal from work or social activities, sometimes feeling very weary at work and family and social obligations. We all have times we just don't want to do it. But I can give you an example. There's someone here at work that told me about their mother who was always the one bringing the family together. Last summer, the last event she had done when they all began to worry about her, she was not the one who did that. And she sat next to her sister who has dementia the whole entire time. And it was so different from what she usually does. She, I think, is so early that she's aware things are wrong, but she doesn't want anybody to catch on. So changes in mood and personality, developing very specific ways of doing things and becoming irritable when your routine is disrupted. Well, you know, some of us are type A personalities, some of us are OCD, we like things a certain way. Some of us, you know, we have a way of doing our things. But if you start to get irritated, extremely irritated, and your personality is gotten snippy, and those are all very clear changes in your personality. Those around you are going to be the first to notice these things. So please don't brush them off. Take care of yourself and go, okay, I'm hearing you. I don't like what I'm hearing, but I'm hearing you. And so maybe I should look into this and make sure everything's okay. That's how we take care of ourselves and don't end up ignoring the symptoms where we can live a quality life. Okay, so page 3, dear. Broken sentences. Let's go here. This is for y'all to help me out. So dementia is not. Anybody got an answer for me? Anybody there?
I'd say it is the second one.
Correct.
Dementia.
It is not a normal part of aging. That is correct. Not everyone who grows old will develop dementia, and some people develop dementia at a younger age. I'll take this opportunity to tell you that we have more and more people are being diagnosed in their 30s and 40s. There are even some younger. So let's go to the second one. Dementia is caused by
diseases in the brain.
That's exactly right. The most common being Alzheimer's. Dementia is not just
not just about having memory problems.
excellent. No, it is not just about having memory problems. It can affect thinking, communication, and doing everyday tasks. And again, that's because your brain has stopped working. You're going to have visual problems. You'll have hearing problems. It's going to affect a lot of things. So absolutely. Let's go to the next one. It is possible to have a
good quality of life with dementia.
yes, and that is only based on your I'm sorry, I'm realizing my camera's down. That is based on the people around you, people keeping you engaged, you continuing to do the things you've always done, maybe with a little bit of help, but you still have a quality of life. And so that is going to depend on how you accept this and how the people around you embrace you and help you through that. So the last one, there is more to the person than
The dementia.
there's only one left. That's right. The dementia. People with dementia are a valuable part of the community. This is a huge pet peeve of mine. It's not just with dementia. We all have value and we all can be a valuable part of our community. It doesn't matter what our disease is or who we are. And so to me, that's just a big thing with dementia because a lot of people, they don't go out of the home anymore. The family doesn't want them to embarrass themselves, or they don't want to reach out for help or whatever. All of those are not good reasons to not allow someone with dementia to continue to be who they are. I'm trying to watch my time. I have a person who's been going to meetings with me here in Columbus, bringing her husband who is in stage 7, which is the later stages. And he is doing remarkably well, but she has kept him active the entire time. The one thing she started talking about seeing the differences, but what I loved about it is what she was allowing him to do. And that was what her example was. His job was always to take the trash out. So as he went into his dementia, she'd still say, honey, please take the trash out. So he would get the trash and take it out. Well, then as time went on, we now have 3 trash cans, correct? So he didn't know where to go. So she knew then she had to make an adjustment. So she would go with him to the trash can. After he wrapped it all up and all, they would go to the trash can and she would lift the top of the one he was supposed to put it in. So see, she's adapted a little bit to help him to continue to do one of his tasks that he's always done. And so the next time she said, honey, we got to take the trash out. She said she was doing something and looked up and he had taken the trash can, opened the back door and threw the whole trash can out to the garage. She said, okay, in her head, we are in a whole nother place. We've got to make a change here. So from there on, she would go over and say, honey, it's time to take the trash. She stood over the trash can with him, showed him he would tie up. She'd help him pull it out and they'd walk out together. So again, she's making little adjustments to, again, continue to help him live a quality of life. Okay, next page, dear. Please ask any questions or keep me wherever you need me. We are going to move past this and I'm going to pray. Keep going, dear. The next page, we should pop on it in just a minute. I want you to see the differences in the brain that is healthy versus the advanced Alzheimer's. Can you see the shrinkage and the holes? And I mean, this is what's happening in your head. No one asked for dementia. No one asked to have this illness any more than they asked to have cancer or anything else. And so this is why we should be embracing it just like we do any other disease. These people have no control over their outburst. Can they be managed? Yes. Can they be redirected? Yes. Again, that's part of what I will be working with and teaching those people in my 16 counties the other ways to approach this without medicine. Medicine is not the way to make these behaviors and things go away or help these people to function. We just need to understand the way to do it and to be a little more patient. Let's go down to the next one. I'm going to pray that is, oh, it is not in here. Okay, so let's go back up. One more, dear. I was so hoping my video was in here. And it is in my jump drive. It's just not in here. So let's talk about this for a minute. I'm not going to read this to you, but you're talking about a bookcase story here, and I do have my screen up so you can see me. So here you have a bookcase, and it's full of books. And so that brain is healthy. That brain is full, and everything is in place. And so your top shelf of your brain is facts and complex thinking. Remember, this is important. The bottom of shelves is emotions, love, and happiness. So as dementia progresses, let's move to the second bookcase. And I don't know who's helping me with that pointer, but you're a blessing. If your shelf were to rock, you know, things are changing. It starts to rock. Your top shelf things are going to start to fall out. Your bottoms are going to stay there. And the top part, again, remember I told you that's your facts and your complex thinking. Those are your tasks. Those are the things that we just went over with normal judgment, communication, being able to think of words, those kinds of things. But if you notice, the bottom shelf is still pretty much intact. There's a few things gone out of there, but it is still pretty much intact. So if you notice that the emotions, love, and happiness, if you don't get anything else out of today, please remember how you, now this is interesting because from my perspective, this is the golden rule and it's what we should be doing anyway. But that bottom part that we're talking about, the last thing that leaves a person with dementia is how you make them feel. Their emotions, the love, the happiness. So if someone is always frustrated with them and going, Mom, why can't you remember it? You've always done this. You're not, I don't understand what you're doing. And then you've got the other sibling or child rather going, Mom, let's take a minute. And you set the fork down and you pick the cup up and you show them you're drinking and you hand it to them. And just like the lady showed him how to tie the trash and walk out with him, those people make that person feel loved. They feel valued. They feel happiness when they're around them. But the first child I described is one of those that's going to make them feel anxious. They may get aggravated and they may have a behavior outburst because they can't do all of that. And we'll get to the other in a minute. Let me check something real quick in my booklet, because what I don't understand is there's a 20-second hourglass, and it may be after, but I think that's the last page. The 20-second hourglass. We are supposed to give people with dementia 20 seconds to respond. So think about that. If you've ever timed 20 seconds, I was amazed. It's a long time. So that's patience. And if you say, Mom, go wash your hands and grab your sweater, we're going to go out to dinner. Well, Mom can go wash her hands, and she's going to come out and look in the room and she's going to go, what else was I supposed to do? And she doesn't remember that sweater. And then you come back there and you go, Mom, we've been waiting on you. Why aren't you ready? You know, again, think about how that would make you feel versus someone coming back going, oh, Mom, good. You got your hands washed. Here, let's grab your sweater and let's go. That's the differences in how we are trying to help people start to work with people with dementia. The first way is our way. We want it done now, but I call it our McDonald's way. We want things right now. So, you know, McDonald's has done us no good. But the second way is simply being kind and caring and how we would want to be treated if we were having difficulties. So that's, if you don't leave here today, if you simply get down and look in someone's face and put a smile on your face and say, how are you doing, for someone who's having memory issues, you have brought them joy. They will feel valued, that you've seen them as a person. We have people in our trainings that have looked at me or looked at us, I'm sorry, in the Zoom calls like this and said, please don't treat me like I'm not at the table. People who have dementia may be sitting with family and everybody else is talking, but they're not paying attention to them. Well, what's wrong with that picture? They can still hear you pretty much, and they're hearing pieces, and they know y'all are laughing and having fun. Why aren't you engaging me like you are everybody else? And so they still feel their emotions, their love. They'll feel when they're being excluded. So let's go on to the next page, dear. Next page. So these are the things that we want you to consider when communicating. Treat the person with dignity and respect. And some of these things I've just kind of talked about at length. So I hope this is just a refresher for you. Avoid talking past them as if they aren't there. Be aware of your feelings. If your tone of voice communicates your attitude, you may need to check yourself. So be positive and friendly and use those positive facial expressions. Be patient and supportive. Let them know that you're there, that you're listening, that you're trying to understand, and you may have to guess with them, which is okay. Think about somebody that's in the hospital that can't talk, that's got stuff all in them. They're trying to tell you something. So it's just look at these things as if this were no different than another scenario where somebody could not communicate to you. Offer comfort and reassurance if he or she is having trouble communicate. Reassure them that it's okay and encourage them to continue. Say, it's okay. Just take a minute. I'm right here. And then if it looks like they're doing something that like pointing or looking at something, you can offer suggestions. Avoid criticizing and correcting. Don't tell them what they're saying is incorrect. Instead, listen and try to find the meaning of what's being said. Avoid arguing, which was what I was about to say, the criticizing and correcting can do. If the person says something you don't agree with, please let it be. Arguing only makes things worse. You agitate them and your blood pressure goes up because you can argue and argue and argue and it's not going to change. Their thought process is not going to change. So it's best if you agree and then keep talking and they'll leave that topic or leave that thought and go to the one you're suggesting. Offer a guess. If the person uses the wrong word or cannot find a word, try to guess the right word. If you understand what they mean, finding the right word may not be necessary. Individuals living with dementia find this more confusing. If the person asks you not to offer guesses, follow his lead. Now, again, some of that is going to depend on what stage they're in. Early stages are going to say, let me get it. I can do this. And you need to be patient, allow them to do that if they can. Encourage nonverbal communication. Again, it's time to eat. Would you like something to drink? Would you like to go to the bathroom and point towards the bathroom? Can y'all tell I'm animated? If I were in front of the room with y'all, I'd be just doing a little act for you. Conversation tips. When approaching a person with dementia, starting a conversation, always come from the front. If you come from behind and you tap them on the shoulder, you're likely to get a response because they can't always see you. Remember me talking about visual? Their visual begins to shrink as they get more into their dementia. Get down or get right at their level. Don't stand over them. Call them by their preferred name to get their attention. This is important. Use short, simple phrases and repeat them as needed and ask one question at a time. This is where I was saying, if you sent them and gave them 3 things, they're not going to be able to remember all 3 things. Make things short and simple. Speak slowly and clearly. Use a gentle and relaxed tone. Patiently wait for a response while the person takes time to process what you've said. Provide a statement during the conversations. Provide statements instead of questions. Don't say, do you remember? Because that's very frustrating because no, they're having trouble remembering. But saying the bathroom's right here might get them to cooperate with going to the bathroom a lot quicker than saying, do you need to go to the bathroom? Because they're likely to go, avoid confusing, vague statements about something you want the person to do instead of speaking directly. Please come here, your lunch is ready, rather than here it is, or here's your hat. Though here it is like, here's what. So again, try to be real specific and short. Turn negatives into positives. Don't go there. Say, let's go here. Instead of don't go there, let's go here. Just redirect them. Give visual cues. Obviously, I'm doing that. Point or touch them if you want the person to use or begin a task. Avoid quizzing. reminiscing is healthy, but back to that, don't remember, but it's great to say, Mom, when we all used to go to the lake, we had such a good time grilling out and sitting down by the lake with a fire, and get them talking. Try using written notes or pictures as reminders to help them understand. That's a lot of people are using whiteboards. I know an assisted living here in town has bought, it's a smart app thing, but it's literally a screen that they put in every room that pops up and says good morning, and then it has the date and the time, and then if something's going on, but it's very big, it's very short. It's really a cool thing. So there's so many things out there now that we did not have before. So when we finish this, we want you to come away with 5 key messages. Dementia is not a normal part of aging. And I think we've said that multiple times in here. We will all grow old. Some of us will develop and some of us will not develop dementia. Dementia is caused by the disease of the brain. The most common is Alzheimer's, but there are many other types of dementia. Dementia is not just about having memory problems. It can affect thinking, communicating, and doing everyday tasks. It is possible to have a great quality of life. I'm not going to say good, I'm going to say great, because that depends again on who you have in your life and what they're willing to help you do in terms of moving through this season. And we all have different seasons. This just happens to be this person's season. There's more to the person than dementia. People with dementia are a valuable part of their community. So for me, this thing right here is that I say, I am Robbie Montfort. I have been Robbie Montfort my 65 years. And I will probably continue to be Robbie Montfort. And if I get dementia, guess what? I'm still Robbie Montfort. And we tend to think that person's no longer there because they have this disease. They are still the things that make me happy and that I've always enjoyed and that bring me that good, warm, fuzzy feeling. Remember the last thing that goes. Those are the things that I will still respond to and be happy with if you remember to bring those things up with me and along with me. So that's why it's important to remember the dementia does not define the person. That is a disease. So turn your understanding into action. Okay, so no action is too big or too small. Everything will make a difference. So this is what we're asking you to do with what we've gone through today and what you've heard. We're asking you to choose something that you can do to help your community. And that can be your church, your neighborhood, your family, or Columbus, or where your county, or whatever, that you choose to do something to make a positive impact on someone or the actual illness of disease of dementia. I will stay in touch with someone I know living with dementia. Please don't stop visiting. Isolation is the worst thing we can do for anybody. Please don't stop visiting. And there's lots of things you can do. I have lots of little tricks in my bookcase back here that once you run out of topics, little things you can do with them that makes both of you time pass and have fun. I will change how I talk about dementia by saying living with dementia rather than suffering from dementia. Very different context with just those words of living versus suffering. I will smile and say hello instead of avoiding that person. We really should do that with everybody. Anybody who's got a disability or whatever, they just want you to have a friendly face and acknowledge them. I will start a conversation at work, at my child's soccer game, or with my faith community about dementia friends and how to become one. So I will help you with the last one. Anybody who's a member of a church, a sorority group, thank you. I can't tell you how blessed I am to be in front of this retired educators group. I will be happy to come and talk or do Zoom, and I promise we'll do it better than we did today. Anywhere you want, because the goal is that we become that. So this whole last page, this is the reason you get the book, is there are so many resources and they are growing and growing and growing. And, you know, if you notice down here, Parkinson's.org, that Parkinson's and dementia, unfortunately, they will cross sect, and people with Parkinson's will begin to develop dementia. Not all of them, but a lot of them. The Rosalind Carter Institute, the ADRCs, which is where I am. We have lots of services. And that's not my particular role, but there are a lot of things we can do to help people who are being diagnosed. The Lewy Body Association. So again, this is just a drop in the bucket of resources. So if let's see, is that the bottom, dear? I think that's the bottom, isn't it? And then, of course, unfortunately, the bottom happens. And so there is a resource for you if you're concerned about an elder that may not be getting what they need or being taken care of. So I'm very sorry that I had to rush through that, but bless me, I am at 12:25. So I managed to make this in my hour, maybe a little over, but I hope that this has brought some awareness, and maybe you learned even one thing today would be so important, because that's what my motto is that if we learn just one thing, we're in a better place to help. So Janet, it looks like you, dear, have carried some weight with someone in your life.
Yes, we lost my mother November 1st. And I was one of her caregivers, still emotional, sorry.
That's fine.
For 4 years. I retired from teaching 2 years early because it just became too stressful.
May
Yes.
I go ahead, honey? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm the only one of the 3 children that lived here in the same town where my mother was. So the majority of the responsibility was on me. And I wish I had a lecture or a workshop like this before. So I did find a local support group, but the bad thing is, it's sad, people didn't show up. So most times when I went, it was just there was an RN that was conducting it. She was wonderful, but it would just be the 2 of us. And then I went to a simulation, and that was wonderful.
So you did the virtual dementia tour.
Yes. And that was wonderful.
That is one of those things where you talk about assumptions. Once you've been through that, it clears up that maybe you weren't assuming so correctly. But may I use one thing that you have said to again accent that it is so vital that you don't have to be alone in this journey. I know you hit some roadblocks, but that is why this position was developed, because we are aware, when I say we, those people way above me are aware there's some missing steps here, and there are some holes, and we're trying to fill those holes, and the resources are increasing. And so my heart breaks that you carried a lot of this on your own, but a lot of people do. But please don't if you're caregiving now, reach out and get involved, because there are things not you, Janet, but if anybody's caregiving now, reach out and find out what's available. You do have to become active to get something from it, but they are there, and it's amazing what's out there right now. So I'm sorry, because you were probably so far into it, especially if it was just last November. The later stages are really, really hard. I mean, there's a respite program right now that is paid for and free. And, I don't know if you knew that resource, But so I'm sharing this with everybody. So there's lots of things out there that, okay, I hope the presenter, Deborah, can send that book to you because I sent it to her. Okay, dear. But there are lots of things out there that I think people are not aware of. And thank you for sharing your story, because that allows us to hear someone else's path. Is same thing as a support group, but just know that there are things available. And please, if something's wrong with you, let's not ignore that and get ourselves tested and diagnosed, so that you have a say-so in how you deal with this disease. Because I think if you get early enough, you can have a lot of say-so in how this progresses and how things are done for you. So I hope this has been helpful. Are there any other questions or anything else I can help with?
Thank you,
Oh,
Robbie.
yeah, I've got a question.
Yes.
Hi, this is Laura Mantrone. One of my friends is taking care of her mom, who is, progressively getting worse, but she also needs, one of those chairs that help you get up out of your seat so you could walk, because she's got some mobility issues. Is there, and I know those are expensive, is there any resources to help people out like that, where you could either get one at a reduced rate, or get one for free, or swap out with somebody else here in Atlanta?
Are you in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to write that down. Have you called your ADRC in Atlanta? Your
Well,
area agency on age, or has she?
that I don't know. I have to talk to her. I don't know if she, I'm not sure how knowledgeable she is about all this, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But, you gotta see, I'm a little slow at getting the chat stuff up, so I could see if you send us something or.
Well, I don't have
something.
anything to skip. What I was going to say is the Area Agency on Aging has a lot of resources that people actually call in and can qualify for, but they also
Okay.
have a ton of resources that are like to help build a ramp. That's not
Okay.
necessarily a service. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, that's good to know.
Yeah, so if you call the ADRC in the Atlanta area, they may
Okay.
have some stores that have agreed to discount or come up with some way that makes it easier for a family to access a lift chair.
Okay, that's a good idea. The other comment I was going to make is I'm part of the Emory. One of my friends who's 87, almost 88, got me involved about 5 years ago with the Emory Alzheimer's research programs that they have, and they have several of them. And anybody who wants to be involved in that, if you contact Emory, and I could probably find a phone number or something, a link to it. But they do all kinds of interesting evaluations on you. And my friend who's 87, soon to be 88, she's starting to have some dementia. I mean, in terms of memory and not pulling words out of her brain, I have to help, with that. So she knows that she's beginning to go down. Although right now she's in Kosovo with her sister traveling, because she knows that time is running out for her.
Good for her.
I know. But the one plus is like some of the things that they give you an MRI, they do some stuff on your heart, depending upon which program that you get into, because it was vascular, the one that I got into. There's several of them now, but
Laura,
they will do.
Laura.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, give me a second. Let
Okay.
me see goodbye to those people who have to leave now, because we
Okay.
are over time, and then you can continue. So let me thank you all for being with us today, and please stay on if you want to
Okay.
be part of this conversation.
No problem.
And then for those of you who need to leave now, please feel free to leave or feel free to stay. I'll keep the room open so Laura can continue her conversation. Thank you all.
And thank you too for those who are having to leave.
All right, Laura, go
So
continue.
sorry, I hear my dog in the background wanting to play. I was listening to you all when I was walking my dog, and now he wants me to go chase him in the house. So I apologize. What I'm trying to say is, like, I have gotten some free medical stuff that will also, like my friend who's beginning to lose it, she goes to Emory, the doctors, they have access to this information. Like they will let you know if something's going on if you are part of these studies. But I've had, a lot of money's worth of medical screening, and by ethically, they have to tell you if something's going on with you.
Mhm.
So she's been able to use that information to talk to her gerontologist to say, okay, what's going on? And he could go back and look at the 4 years worth of data to see what's happening. So that's a good resource to have. They also, check your heart. They do a whole, CAT scan on your heart to see what's going on because it's vascular. But that is a service that's out there, and they will pay you gift cards to participate in some of these things and invite you to luncheons. And they have little meetings on Tuesday talking about aging, kind of like what you're doing today. So I just wanted to share that with you.
So, no, thank you, Laura, because I'll add to that. So she's right. The Tuesday meetings are lunch and learn. They are fabulous. So that is through Emory. I can get this information. I'm sorry, right this minute. I'm not going to try and mess with my internet anymore. But I'll get this to Tony or someone to get this all to you. But yes, they do a lunch and learn. Emory, it's called their Georgia Memory Net. And that's a wonderful resource for education. And there's actually somebody that does exercise with them who is
Oh,
great.
yeah, that's right. The exercise
yes.
is fun.
He
That's
is
pretty
great.
funny.
But I will share that the Alzheimer's Association also has a list of research things that are happening around in your areas. And if you're in the Columbus area, Dr. Liz is doing research. And Laura is absolutely correct. Depending on what the research program is about, you can either get spinal taps, CAT scans, MRIs, and all of this is free of charge, which, as you said, they're very expensive test. And it's not only a great opportunity to see if you have the gene or to see if you have any early detection. And back to me kind of preaching a little bit about the importance of getting that early diagnosis right now. So many people may be suffering with that early diagnosis and they're brushing it off. And again, the sooner you know, the better off you will be to make decisions that you want to make for yourself, decide if you want to get on any medication, if it's appropriate, and to get involved and know what's available before things continue to get worse. So lots of good information. Thank you for bringing that up, Laura.
Oh, yeah. One last thing, also hearing aids. I have hearing aids from having a closed head injury, but getting hearing aids early on will help with preventing some of the signs of dementia, I guess, if you start getting isolated and can't hear, whatever. Sorry. I don't know if you mentioned hearing aids today at all.
I did not, but it's as important as everything else we've talked about today, because a lot of us will ignore that we have hearing problems. And when your family or friends are going, I have repeated this 3 times. Are you not listening to me? You need to be aware that your brain is not functioning if you're not listening, or you cannot hear. Not that you're not listening. Don't misunderstand me. Let me rephrase that. If you cannot hear, your brain is not functioning. It is one of the top causes for the brain to start having issues. So please make sure you're taking care of your vision and your hearing. I did mention vision, Laura. So thank you.
Oh, good. Sorry. I wasn't sure because I've met so many friends of mine whose husband's been so stubborn about getting hearing aids and
yes.
And then, yelling at them, they still won't go. And Costco is a great place because I finally got a couple of them to go there because they didn't want to spend all the money. And they've only spent like $2,000 versus like the $5,000 or $6,000. So that's a great resource. And you don't have to be a member of Costco to get them either.
Absolutely. And they've come a long way with them.
Oh, yeah.
Any other questions? I see somebody's hand up. Yes, ma'am, with your hand up. I just says iPhone 404226.
Oh, that's me. I didn't have my hand up, but I want to say while you were talking, I just emailed your booklet to my children.
Okay.
They want to take my keys. They don't think I can drive the mobile, and I'll let them get me a plane ticket. But anyway, reality is just that. And so all of them now are 20 and older. 20 being the youngest grandchild and 49 being the oldest child. And I just emailed that to them, hoping that they will, read it and help if if it arrives. But still, just to know, which is half of the battle.
Well, and I think family education, let me back up and just say education period for all of us, and y'all are all educators. So I think you respect the value of education. It will put you in such a better place if you or someone in your family has to deal or work with this diagnosis, and will be in a better place to help the loved one have quality of life. So thank you for sharing.
And thank you for that great handout, by the way. That's going to be very helpful.
You're very welcome. Please share this information everywhere you go. And I'll be happy to, I'm sorry, Laura.
No, I was going to say, I hope I didn't lose it. We have a link in the thing, right? In the chat room for that?
I saw somebody put that link in for me. Thank you.
Thank you.
And like I said, I will be happy. Just contact Tony to come and speak at any church or organization if there is an opportunity or somebody wants to learn more.
Great. I may contact you at some point. My neighborhood association has like an aging in place thing. I don't know if I'm not sure if you've come to Inman Park to do any lectures with that group. But
I'd love to come to Inman Park, but I actually have a dementia care specialist that's in your area that does exactly what I do, and I can send them to you.
Oh, cool. What's that person's name?
That person is, let me see, there are 12 of us in the state, and she is, actually, I'll put it in the chat. How's that?
That'd be great. Thank you.
I'll give you her contact information.
That would be wonderful.
Okay, anything else?
Yes, I had a question. You said that there were support groups for people that are living with people with memory loss. Did you talk about that? I may have missed some of it. I was going in and out.
Yes, the Alzheimer's Association has support groups in Columbus. I know in particular, there are some private ones. There's some licensed clinical therapists that are doing it. So yes, there are groups out there. You can contact your Alzheimer's Association or me to find those groups. I'm also working on, which of course, I'm sorry, it won't be overnight, but I am working on trying to get some dementia cafes, which are similar to support groups, where everybody can come and be together and talk about it and do activities and things that allow you to talk through things that are happening. So that's something that actually all 12 of us are working on. So you may see that posted in your area somewhere.
Okay, so I would go to the Alzheimer's Association to find support groups?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything else?
Sandra Jones.
Okay, Laura, that information is in the chat for you.
Oh, thank you so much. I just pulled it up. Today my chat thing is working. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments or anything you need to share before we end our time today? This has been a very productive time together.
Well, and I apologize for the, again, issues at the front end, but we turned out fine.
Yes, we did. It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
Right.
All right. Thank you all for participating in this extended version of our monthly lunch bunch. And we will see you again the first Wednesday in April to talk about where to get good health information. Take care, everyone. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
You.
You too. Bye.